Section 10.5, we're going to be writing equations of lines. So to get started, let's talk about three different ways we could write the equation of a line. So we can call them forms of linear equations. And there's three of them. One is called slope-intercept form. We talked a little bit about this. This just looks like y is equal to mx plus b, where m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. Second form is called standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c, which is what it looks like. In some classes, they say that it's equal to 0, but that's not in this class. In this class, you have the x and y together, and it's equal to a number. There's three things about this that we have to know. The first is that the a value is always positive, which means you might have to multiply by -1. But we'll see examples like that later. Second thing is that the x and y have to be on the same side. And the third thing is that there's no fractions or decimals. The way you get rid of fractions is you multiply by the LCD. The way you get rid of decimals is you multiply by 10. We'll look at the examples of that in a little bit. And the third type is called point slope form. And this is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And we have a slope that's equal to m, and we have a point that's x1 comma y1. So let's do some examples. First thing is identify the form and components of the following. So what if we had, we'll just write this down, y is equal to 1/2 x minus 3. Y minus 2 is equal to 1/3 x plus 3. And then 3x minus 4y is equal to 12. I'd rather get all of these written down and then go through. This first form is what? Intercept, standard, or point slope? Slope intercept, right? And the slope is 1/2. The y-intercept is 3, or 0, 3. That's where it crosses the y-axis. Yep. It should be. Thank you. Got up on Michael Conner walking outside. Okay. I just watched Halloween H2O last night. It's great. You don't like him? When I was younger, I didn't like him. I saw that Halloween H2O when I was like 16 years old. I didn't sleep for 3 nights, and I just felt like such a wuss. So I figured, all right, now I'm older, I can handle it. And I watched it last night. Now I'm like a little paranoid. No, I brought it up myself. Anyway, nobody's outside. The second form, what form is the second one? Point slope. The point slope, the number in front of the parentheses is the slope. And our point is going to be the opposite of these numbers. It says +3 next to the x, so the point is -3. And it says y minus 2, so the y value is positive. And it looks like that last one, that would be standard form. Because the x and y are together, a is positive, and there's no fractions or decimals. When we talk about components, one thing that we can get from this is the x-intercept by making y 0. We could also get the y-intercept by making x 0. With y 0, we get 3x minus 4 times 0 is equal to 12. 3x would be 12, so x is 4. The x-intercept would be 4, 0. I like graphing by getting the intercepts, just because it gives us a more like precise graph. And the y-intercept, we put 0 in for x. 3 times 0 minus 4y is equal to 12. The -4y is 12. Y would be -3. Moving on through. I asked you to write and graph an equation in slope intersection form. Right? So what if I gave you two problems with a slope equal to 1/3 and with a y-intercept equal to 2? Remember what I asked you to do? I asked you to write an equation and graph. If we're graphing, the y-intercept is at 2. The slope is 1/3, which means we go up 1 and to the right 3. That's what the line would look like. You go up 1 and to the right 3 from that point. As far as what the equation would be, remember, slope intercept form looks like this. So your slope would be 1/3 and your b value would be 2. That's it. If we had negative 2x plus y is equal to negative 6. So we want to rearrange that so it's in slope intercept form. You could have 2x on both sides. Y would be 2x minus 6. Or graphing this, we'll go down to negative 6. And then up 2 over 1. That's what the graph looks like. Okay, checking in. We okay? I actually do. Right? Equation of a line. Vertical through 2, negative 3. And horizontal through 2, negative 3. So vertical means this. And horizontal means this. Take a shot at that. First one, part A. What would be, say we write vertical? Is it X or Y? X should equal. And if it's horizontal, it's Y is equal to. to try this. Right? Slope, intercept, form of a line with slope is -1/3 and a y-intercept of 0, -2. So I have a few examples here. So we always start off with what slope and intercept is. And then we just kind of fill in the blank. We know the slope is -1/3. We put that in for m. If the y-intercept is -2, we know y-intercept goes here. And for a problem like that, that's pretty easy. That's how you do it. The whole idea is that you just understand like what you're doing. What about if I said through -2, 3 and 1, 4? Well, again, we're trying to figure out what goes into y equals mx plus b. And this one's a little more advanced because we don't have a slope. But we have 2 points, right? So because we have 2 points, we could find the slope. It's just like one extra, right? One extra step. So what we could do to get the slope, figure it out first. We're going to do 4 minus 3. Remember, subtract the y values over subtract the x values. 1 minus -2. So 1/3. That's your slope. We have a slope of 1/3, and we actually have 2 points. We only need 1 point there. So I need somebody here, just give me a yell. Which point would you like to use for the point? -2, 3 or 1, 4? -2, 3 is fine. All we need is 1 point. It doesn't matter what point we use, we'll get the same exact answer. All right, so now we have an x value, we have a y value, and we have an m value. So if we plug in 3 for y, m is 1/3, x is -2. The 3 is equal to -2/3 plus b. And solving for b. 3 is the same thing as 9/3, so 9/3 plus 2/3 is 11/3. Guys understand what I just did there? We found the slope, and then we plugged in a point for x and y. So we're trying to write an equation in slope-intercept form where we need a slope and we need a b. So the slope is 1/3, and the b is 11/3. That would be the That's that. And let's try this. What if we had a slope of 1/2, and I told you the point, which was 4, -3? Can you guys try to do the same thing we just did before? So we have a point, we have a slope, we just don't have the y-intercept. So see if you could figure out y is equal to mx plus b. Your slope is 1/2, that goes right here. Your point is 4 and -3. So are you guys getting b is -5? Yeah. Tying it all together, y would be mx plus b. So we plug our slope in, and we plug the b in. That would be the answer. About 4 or 5 problems left to finish out tonight here. What if I asked you to write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form that's parallel to 2x minus 3y equals 6, and it goes through the point -2, 3. Well, just like all the other problems, we need a slope and we need a point. We have a point, we just need a slope, right? So what do you think we're gonna do? We're gonna get a slope from that line, right? So let's write this in slope-intercept form. So what we could do is bring the 2x on the other side. And then divide by -3. So the slope of this line is 2/3. If it's parallel, it's going to be the same as this, same slope. So we are going to use the same slope. Parallel slope would be 2/3. We have a point, -2,3. Now we just have to write our line, right? So let's say y is equal to mx plus b. We'll plug in what we know. The slope is y is 3. The slope is 2/3. The x is -2. So b3 is equal to -4/3 plus b. Adding the 4/3. 3 is the same thing as 9/3. 9/3 plus 4/3 is 13/3. So we have a slope. We have a y-intercept. Tying it all together, y would be 2/3 x plus 13/3. Right. Similarly, what if it was perpendicular to 2x minus 3y equals 6, and the point was -2,3? Same idea as before, but instead of parallel being the same slope, perpendicular, we're going to have to change the slope, right? So let's go ahead and finish this up. Let's subtract the 2x. Divided by -3. So the slope of this line is 2/3. What would the perpendicular slope be? -3/2. So now it's the same exact problem as before. We're going to say y is equal to mx plus b. We'll plug in and we'll solve for b. So why don't you guys take a minute so you can do that? So if y is 3, slope is -3/2, x is -2. It's the same idea as before. We're going to multiply here. This -3/2 times -2 is just +3. We just get b of 0. B is 0, and our slope is -3/2. we get y is equal to just negative 3 halves x. And there's no like plus b because it's plus 0, which doesn't mean anything. I just have two more examples, and that'll be it for tonight. What if I asked you to write a standard form equation of a line with slope of -2 and the point -3, 1. So we have two examples like this, and then we'll go home. We'll do the same thing we did before. Y is equal to mx plus b. Plug in for y, plug in for m, plug in for x, all for b. And we have it in slope-intercept form, but remember what standard form was. Standard form, we needed three things. I'll write it down again here so you don't go back. One thing was the a value has to be positive. Second thing was the x and the y have to be together. And the third thing is no fractions or decimals. So let's get the x and y on the same side. We get 2x plus y equals -5. This is standard form, that's what we wanted. This would have been slope-intercept form. We don't really use point slope form. That's not really something that we use. One more problem is what if I gave you a point 2, 3 and -4, 4. Why don't you guys go ahead and find the slope for this? Once we get the slope, everything's the same as before. And remember, it doesn't matter which point we're using. We could use either point. So the slope would be 4 minus 3 over -4 minus 2, which is 1 over -6. You guys found? All right. Well, that's good. So we have a slope. Which point should we use? The first or the second? First. We're going to do exactly the same thing we did in the other problems. Where we're going to find the y-intercept. We add 1/3 with 3. 3 is really 9/3. 9/3 plus 1/3 is 10/3. We have a slope, we have a y-intercept. But we want to get it in standard. This is slope intercept. Slope intercept. Standard form, what we're going to do is we want to get the x and y on the same side. So I'm going to add the 1/6 over. Yeah. And we're close. But we have fractions. And so we have to multiply by what's called the LCD. Anyone know what the LCD between 1/6 and 10/3 would be? You're going to add 1/6 plus 10/3 to LCD would be what? So the LCD is the smallest number that you could divide by 6 and 3, which would be 6. We're going to multiply everything by that LCD. 6 times 1/6 x plus 6 times y is equal to 6 times 10/3. So just the x plus 6y is equal to 20. That is standard form. So